What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 13 of the Ohio Sports Radio Show. We've had a few weeks off. It's Jared and Ian back again. Chris will not be with us tonight, unfortunately, but me and Ian are ready. It's been a few weeks off. E, how was your Christmas, sir?
Can't complain. Family and food trumps everything else in the world.
Absolutely. I had a great Christmas, traveled down to Florida, saw my family. Hadn't seen them in a while, so it was absolutely great. But I'm ready to be back here. Excited to be back here with you guys after a few weeks off. Ready to talk some Ohio sports, so I hope you guys are ready. Hope everyone out there, all of our listeners, all of our fans had a great Christmas, great holiday season. But let's get into the last show of 2015, Ian. Can you believe it?
Unreal.
I know, man. So if you forgot, it's been a while. That would make sense. But if you forgot, we start the show off with our best and worst of this past weekend. So, Ian, sir, what was your best and worst of this past weekend?
Over the past couple of weeks since we've been off, my best and worst are coming from the soccer pitch. My best is I'm a Chelsea Blues fan when it comes to soccer, and they parted ways with their manager, Jose Mourinho. He's highly regarded as a great manager. Lots of soccer greats have came out and said, he's just really talented and he's a great motivator, but something lacked this season, man. I didn't like his cockiness. I felt like he didn't really provide much for the team this year as far as managing. And Chelsea about fell out of the league, close to relegation. So there's that. He won't be back next season. My worst of the week, as we get into our later 20s, we start seeing some of the athletes we grew up watching, start to retire and leave their games and everything. So it was sad to see Abby Wambach play her final game with the U.S. women's national team. She's a two-time Olympic gold medalist, World Cup champion, six-time U.S. soccer athlete, the year award winner, and she also has 184 international goals, which beats any man or female in the history. So it's pretty cool to see her, to have watched her whole career, but kind of sad to see her go.
Yeah, absolutely. You know me, I'm a huge soccer guy, Manchester City fan, so glad to see Chelsea struggle, glad to see Mourinho on his way out, although it looks like he may be on his way to United, my bitter rival who I hate, so whatever there. Absolutely hate to see Wambach go. She's class. I love her, one of my favorite players of all time. But Ian, thank you, sir, for your best and worst. My best of this past weekend, it involves a little fantasy football. Me and Ian are in the same, and Chris for that matter, we're all in the same fantasy league. I won this year's fantasy league. It's my third championship in 5 years, modern day Vince Lombardi, if you will, in the fantasy world. So Ian's felt my wrath over the past few days. I've kind of laid into him pretty heavy, so I'm happy to win my championship there. My worst of the weekend has to go to my Cincinnati Bengals. The first round playoff bye was so close we could taste it. Losing Monday Night Football to the Broncos in a tough-fought game. It looked like we was going to pull it out there in the first half, but it just didn't happen. But thankful that we're still in an opportunity where we can get a first-round bye, and we'll touch on that later. But that had to be my worst of the weekend. So thank you, Ian, for your best and worst, sir. Appreciate it. Let's move on to a little Cincinnati Reds baseball. A lot has happened in Reds land right now. Recently, I know we've had a few shows off, but there have been some big blockbuster trades. Right after our last show, the day after, the Reds traded away Todd Frazier in a 3-team trade involving the White Sox and the Dodgers. Frazier ended up going to Chicago. Reds got Jose Peraza, second baseman, in return, Scott Schiebler, and second baseman Brandon Dixon. Schiebler is an outfielder, by the way. But Reds got a pretty good return on that. I know a lot of fans were upset with that trade. And then the most recent trade, closer Aroldis Chapman going to the Yankees, which we kind of speculated earlier in the year, for right-hand pitcher Caleb Cotham, right-hand pitcher Ricky Davis, infielder Eric Dagiello, and infielder Tony Rinda. Pretty good return on that. Could have been better had the domestic violence issues not occurred, but it is what it is. Ian, what do you think of these trades, brother?
Well, one, they had to be made. We've been told that they're going into a rebuild mode. They're just not going to be able to afford these guys when their contracts are up. As far as the Frazier deal goes, Getting Peraza is a top-notch prospect. Started out as a shortstop. Now he's a second baseman. I believe he's the number 2 second base prospect in the minor leagues across the league.
He moved up to the Reds' number 1 prospect in their top 30 now with that trade. So it's pretty big for the Reds.
Exactly, and I think he's gonna start the season in AAA. He's gonna refine his swing. Got great speed. He hits the ball well. He doesn't have much power, but those little speedy guys don't. He needs to work on making a little bit better contact with the ball. A lot of scouts have said he does strike out a little bit too much, but that can all be worked out. The guy's super young. Schiebler is a guy that I could see the Reds throwing out there in left field on opening day. He's got a good amount of power. Scouts have said that his bat speed's not up to par, that he relies too much on his power. But last 2 seasons in the minor leagues, he's led both leagues that he's played in extra base hits. So it's all about getting on base and producing runs.
Yeah. Real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you. Sorry. And Schiebler actually sitting right now at number 13 on the Reds' top 30. So that's 2 pretty big players, 2 pretty good returns for an aging Todd Frazier. He's going to be 30. Reds weren't going to be able to re-sign him. He's going to want a lot of money. His numbers have declined since the All-Star break home run derby. So I thought it was a pretty decent return. Could have done a little better maybe, but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I think it was a decent return. They talked about when that Dodgers trade fell through with Chapman, the guy we were going for in that deal was Peraza, and we got him for Frazier. But moving towards the Chapman deal to the Yankees, when that domestic violence news came out with Chapman, we thought we were going to get stuck with him. It was going to be tough to move him. I think Brian Cashman did his homework, the Yankees general manager. I think he knows some stuff that maybe other teams don't know. He went ahead and took a chance, and we get 4 players in return, and a couple of them. Jagiello is a guy that can, fill Todd Frazier's role here in a couple of years. He's a third baseman. In 2013, he was the Big East Player of the Year in college for Notre Dame. And then Ricky Davis, he's got a lot of potential. He's got a lot of upside. Some people see him as being a solid number 3, possibly a number 2 pitcher. They've also talked about maybe moving him to the bullpen in the Yankees system, but he's got a lot of upside. So I think it was a decent return, especially when you look at the legal issues that Chapman's potentially facing. I don't hate either deal.
Yeah, so real quick, to touch on that, the Chapman deal, Lynn's Light, one of our favorite readers, she actually submitted the first Confessions of an Ohio Sports Fan, and it was very fantastic. If you haven't checked it out, it's on our website. So Lynn's always great participation. One of the many questions she asked this week was, what did we think of the Chapman trade? So I know, Ian, you just touched on that a little bit. And I think it was pretty decent all in all. He could have probably got more. We could have got more for him had that stuff not come out about him, but who's to say? Ricky Davis got a great arm. He was 10th, I do believe, in the Yankees' top 30 prospects. And then Jagiello, Eric Jagiello was 6th, I think, in the top 30 for the Yankees. So not bad, all in all, good return. I thought both trades were pretty good with rebuild mode, and like I've said, and like you've said, and Chris for that matter, 2 down, 2 to go, right?
Yeah, Bruce and Phillips, another contracts that are, going to be expiring over the next couple of years. And, if you're going to be in the rebuild mode, you got to be committed to it. So those are the next 2 guys on the list. I could see them probably moving Phillips at the deadline if he would agree to a deal. I know the trade to Washington fell through because they weren't willing to give him an extension right off the bat. But I could see them moving Bruce here before spring, but Phillips probably be more so towards the deadline.
Bruce is a real difficult one because he's got so many no trade clauses in his he's got so many teams that he won't be traded to in his contract. So he should definitely shine away from the bright lights and big stages with all those teams. And I don't know. I could see a team. I thought the Mets for sure would try to go after Bruce, but Cespedes ended up being a home run for them. So I could see a team like that going after him, someone who needs a lot of pop in their lineup. Bruce definitely can do that, and I hope the Reds let him go, honestly, because I want to see a full rebuild mode. This team they're bad. I know a lot of we see a lot of comments on our page. Everyone's flipping out about all these trades, but what you guys need to realize is this team's terrible. It's not good. They missed their window years ago. They're old. They're aging. They got big contracts, and they backed themselves into a corner financially. I know it sucks to see our favorite players go, but we weren't doing anything last year. We hadn't done anything in a while. This team has been bad, and it's time to rebuild. Yes, it's going to stink for a while, but I like to watch a winning baseball team more than I like to watch a single player. I don't know about you, Ian.
No, I agree with you. I want to see. I'm in it for the long haul. It's going to take some time. It's not going to be done overnight. If they show glimpses of greatness next year with these new guys, that doesn't mean anything. They need to commit to this rebuild, and it's like we've always said, it's going to take time. And I'm in it for the long haul because I want to see this team sustain credibility within the league, and I want to see them be able to be a contender for a while. And to do that, you got to be younger and you got to get better.
Absolutely. So we had a question from Mr. Ricky Barker. He wants to know what we think is the best trade so far in the MLB. It doesn't have to involve the Reds. Ian, who do you think has made out the best so far in Major League Baseball?
There's several teams that I think that have done well for themselves in the offseason. There's several teams that I think have completely flopped in the offseason so far. But I'm going to go to the NL West. I'm going to go to the San Francisco Giants. They brought in the Shark, Jeff Samardzija, and then they brought in Cincinnati's own Johnny Cueto. That's two phenomenal pitchers that they're going to be adding to a rotation that already features Madison Bumgarner. And fun fact, we're heading into an even year. The San Francisco Giants won the World Series in 2010, 2012, and 2014. So I don't know much about, I don't know if you buy into superstition, but they could be onto something here. We're heading into an even year, and they add to a rotation that didn't do so well for them last year.
Yeah, that's definitely getting Cueto huge, and he got a lot of money, and he can opt out after 2 years. That's huge contract and good deal for Johnny. I'd love to see him. Love to see him get the ring, and then love to see him make his money while he can. Great guy. But mine, you could make an argument for the Diamondbacks getting Greinke in their rotation. It's pretty big, and they got some other players. But I'm going to go to the Yankees. Landon Aroldis Chapman on top of Andrew Miller and Dylan Betances. That's huge. I mean, they already Miller and Betances were 2 and 3 in saves last year, and now they had number 1. That bullpen is stupid good. So the rich get richer in New York, and the Pinstripes bullpen. I think Chapman will be electric there. He's a primetime kind of player. So despite all his off the field issues, he's an unreal talent, and I'm thankful for the time that we got to watch him at Great American because he was an absolute pleasure to watch. But yeah, that's our thoughts on the Reds. Hope to get a little bit more in there, more involved with the Reds coming up. Hopefully they send off a few more players and we complete this rebuild as much as possible. But thank you guys for your questions. Ricky, appreciate the question, brother, and Lynn's for the one question of Manny this week. Let's move on to the heartbreak that is my Cincinnati Bengals losing Monday Night Football 17-20 to the Denver Broncos in Mile High Stadium. Just absolutely tough. Just tough defeat. We had a lot on the line going into that game. We could have win and we get a first-round bye in the playoffs. That extra time to heal. Dalton can come back, possibly. Now they're saying Dalton probably won't be available into the divisional round. The bone in his thumb has not healed completely yet. A.J. McCarron hurt his wrist, but MRI was negative on that. It was just a sprain. Just sucked. It sucks to see your team lose. Sucks when such big stuff is on the line there. First round bye would have been huge for him. But all in all, they looked all right. McCarron finished game 22 of 35, 200 yards and a touchdown. Like I told some people, I thought he played well. I know he's a backup. I know he hasn't had much time. He looked good on third down. He was moving the ball down the field pretty well. Hugh Jackson did a fantastic job calling the play calling in the first half. He looked great. Hugh put AJ in a great scenario, throwing the ball short, throwing it out a little screen, setting him up, getting him in a flow. Hugh did. I think that was his best play calling of the year in the first half of that game. But AJ, he overthrew a lot of balls. His receivers bailed him out. They climbed the ladder on a lot of passes. He missed some big throws. He took some stupid sacks. And it's that stuff comes with time. I understand that. The fumble at the end of the game, that happens to every quarterback. It happens to everyone. It just happened on such a big stage, and that sucked. That may be one of the worst turnovers in Bengals franchise history. And that's sad to say because it was a regular season game, week 16, but so much on the line in that game. It sucked. But all in all, Bengals fans, don't lose hope. I have not lost hope. You know me. I stick with this team through thick and thin, and we're still there. Playoff scenario, this for the Bengals to get a first-round bye, we have to win or we need the Broncos to lose is the number one thing. They play the Chargers, which is a possibility. This may be the Chargers' last game as San Diego Chargers. I think they got a lot to play for, a lot of pride. It is in Denver, so that's a tough game. But, anything's possible. The Ravens weren't supposed to beat the Steelers, so don't lose hope. We need a Broncos loss plus a Bengals win or a Chiefs win, and we get a first-round bye. So it's not out of question, Bengals fans. That first-round bye would be huge, though. Ian, did you watch the game at all on Monday night, man?
I did. I was able to watch about 3/4 of it, the last 3 quarters. So it was definitely a heartbreaking loss for the city of Cincinnati, and I know the fans were reeling over it. So tough to lose that one, like you said, when there's a lot on the line. And that probably, I'm not too much into Bengals history, but probably the biggest game of the regular season for the Bengals in some time with how much was riding on it. But, yeah, just absolutely heartbreaking loss.
Yeah, it sucked, man. And we do have a few Bengals questions, so I'll go ahead and get to those. Jake Parrish wants to know, what did you guys think when you heard Gruden's Monday Night Football comment about the Bengals players worrying more about themselves in the primetime spotlight rather than putting the team first? I don't listen to a thing Gruden says, Jake. He loves every player, and whoever's doing well, he praises. Whoever's doing bad, he just puts them all out there. He's kind of a douche to me. He's annoying. I could have listened to that game on mute and I would have been fine. But I don't really believe that. I don't think any player puts a team above themselves, especially in football. There may be a few players that act out and do stupid things, but I don't think anyone on this Bengals team is doing that. People may point the finger at Burfict. At the end of the game, I thought that was kind of a BS call, in my opinion. The refs in the NFL this year are ridiculous. There were bad calls in that game, some that went in the Bengals' favor. The holding call or the face mask call where they threw the flag when the team was getting ready to set up and call another play, that was stupid. That was the dumbest penalty. It went in the Bengals' favor, and I even tweeted about that. The refs were terrible. Hockey Lee and his crew were not good, in my opinion. But Jake, I don't care what John Gruden says. Ian, did you hear this comment at all?
I heard the comment, and like you said, Gruden has a way of tuning into the players that are doing right at the current time and making comments about that. And then when things aren't going the way for some players, he rides them. And I kind of like Gruden. I think he's good for football as far as announcing goes because he's comical. But that stuff does get annoying over a long, extended period of time when he continues to do it week in and week out on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, he's just go ahead.
Like you said, I don't think any player on that team puts themselves before the team. They're all in it for one common goal, and that's to get the Lombardi Trophy. And so I don't buy into it. I think it's just Gruden liking to hear Gruden talk. So.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of ESPN and their analysts. They drive me nuts. So they kind of beat dead horses into the ground over and over and over. That's all I talk about. Jake, that just disregard whatever he says. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But thanks, Jake. Appreciate the question, man. Next question about the Bengals. Jeremy Green wants to know, Jeremy, happy belated birthday, brother, by the way. Jeremy goes pretty far back with me and Ian. He actually, when we first started our website, he was one of our Dayton writers. So, Jeremy, appreciate it, man. You know, your family with us. But Jeremy wants to know, with the season winding down, who was your best surprise and biggest letdown of your NFL team? For him, it's close between Dalton and Eifert as best surprise and biggest letdown being Jeremy Hill. Ian, do you want to do? Actually, I'll do mine, and then we'll go into the Browns. My biggest surprises. I'm not going to say Dalton was a surprise. I actually think he's a really good quarterback. I just think now that he has all his pieces around him, people see the past few years always really had his AJ Green, and you can't really hate on a guy for wanting to lock into one of the best wide receivers in the league. So I'm not going to say Dalton's a surprise. He's played very well. I think my biggest surprise for me, definitely Eifert. I mean, even still, Eifert's a great tight end, but he's had such a great year. So I would say definitely Eifert. I would say the biggest surprise for me is the addition of Michael Johnson, how much it's made Carlos Dunlap better. Having that extra rush on the outside has been great for Dunlap. He has the franchise season, or the Bengals season franchise Bengals franchise single season sack record, with 13.5 sacks. But the addition of Michael Johnson back has been huge for Dunlap. And Reggie Nelson, I think, is another one for me. He's had such a great year, probably his best year in the NFL. So, yeah, I think that's my best. My worst, Jeremy Hill probably, but even still, Jeremy Hill is Hughes found a scheme that works well, and he's splitting time with the running backs. And I think if he went with single-handedly with Jeremy Hill, I think Jeremy Hill would have better statistics. But I would say he's probably my biggest disappointment. I mean, he's been kind of slow getting off this year, and I don't know. Yeah, I would say Hill. But Jeremy, thank you for the question, man. We'll go ahead and we'll move into your Browns, Ian. Not much more to talk about the Bengals. A lot of heartbreak there. But yeah, Ian, let's go ahead and move. Transition into your Browns here. They lost last week, another tough loss. So I'll let you go ahead and recap that one, brother.
Yeah, it was from the get-go. It was one of those games where the way it started, Kansas City marched right down the field and scored a touchdown, and it was like, here we go again. So they score a touchdown, Browns go 3 and out, Chiefs get the ball back, kick a field goal, it's 10-0, just like that. And, I thought it was going to be in for a long day. Get to halftime, Browns make some adjustments. Defense came out in the second half and played a phenomenal game the rest of the way. As far as the offensive side of the ball, Johnny had some trouble throwing the ball on Sunday against the Chiefs. That defense was bearing down on him, and a lot of wind in that game, and he was throwing that ball up in the wind. You gotta keep that ball low and get it. Gotta be precision passer in conditions like that. And unfortunately, Johnny just didn't have it going with his arm. But we saw Manziel resort back to Texas A&M. Johnny Manziel had over 100 yards on the ground rushing. He made that game a lot closer than it actually was with his running game. He was able to get us back in the game, and we were actually driving to take the lead to win the game there at the end, and we get a pass completed down at I believe down at about the 14-yard line, and no timeouts. We couldn't get out of bounds, and Johnny runs up to try and clock it, and just too much time expired. And the next image you see is Johnny taking his helmet off and slammed it on the ground. And I love the media. They make a circus out of this. They say that it was an immature move by an immature kid. He's not a professional. I'll tell you right now, somebody who loses a game at the end of the game like that, and when the clock was mismanaged like that, and they don't show any sign of being upset, I think they're unprofessional. Johnny slamming his helmet down showed me that he had heart. He wanted to win that game. He was upset with the way he played. He made that clear with his comments after the game. He shouldered the blame for the whole entire day. He said, it's this one's on me. I didn't play well. I had 21 other guys around me that played well enough to win, and it was because of me that we didn't win. So I like that out of Johnny. He's taking the blame. He's putting himself at the forefront in a positive manner. He's saying, I got to play better for this team to be better. It was a tough game. Kansas City's one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. Going out there to play there, I didn't have high hopes. I took the Chiefs in our pick. I did take the Browns. Yeah, I took the Browns. My bad, but deep down I was going to take the Chiefs if I was in it to win it. But it was going to be tough to win there. But they played a respectable game and they got it close there at the end. So
yeah. I saw a little bit of the game. I was driving home from Florida, so I saw the highlights later on. I don't really have much to say about it. Tough loss for you guys. I don't know. You guys, week in, week out, you guys kind of figure out new ways to lose games. Kind of sucks, but you guys were right. You had a chance. Chiefs are a good team. It's a tough game. I don't know. The Chiefs are rolling, man. As for Johnny throwing his helmet down, it's kind of – the only reason it's because it's Johnny Manziel. If it's another player, if Tom Brady does that, look at the character on Tom Brady. He hates losing. Look at Aaron Rodgers. He hates losing. But all this stuff keeps popping up about Manziel, and the NFL, they love a story. The ESPN loves the story. They're going to keep beating it into the ground. Another video leaked of Johnny Manziel out partying with friends, drinking a Four Locos, by the way, that's awesome. I love it. But yeah, I mean, it's just because it's Manziel. So I know someone asked us, what do we think about another video leak? And I said he needs better friends. Who are these friends that keep selling these videos to TMZ? Johnny has to get better friends around him. You don't see other quarterbacks in the NFL. Tom Brady, for instance, you don't see him out and about doing that unless he's celebrating another Super Bowl. You don't see that stuff. Johnny's a young kid. He's got a lot to learn. He's a great talent. Like I said, I've said it all along. I think he's a great talent. He's a good quarterback, but he may not be the best fit for Cleveland. I don't know, man. I know people made a big deal about him going to a Cavs game. I don't see a problem with that. I know someone said it was a big issue that he was sitting courtside at a Cavs game. Who cares? Who cares what he does in his free time? Going to a game? What's so wrong about that? There's nothing wrong about that. Yeah, he probably should have been at home studying a playbook, but whatever. Who cares? They're just looking for things to say about Manziel. This has been his whole life. His whole football career is going to be this. It's going to be a media circus. It's like Tebow, but Tebow's is because he can't play. He's not good. He's not a good NFL quarterback. Yeah, people want to give him a shot and stuff and say, yeah, let's give Tebow a shot. He's won a game in Denver in the playoffs. Who cares? He's not a good quarterback. They said that about him from the start. They knew that when he was coming out of college. Johnny's a good quarterback, but he has to get a better support system around him. He has to. Throwing his helmet down, he probably shouldn't have done it. I agree with you, Ian. I think it shows heart in that he wanted to win the game. And you could tell he wants to win. He wants to be great. But if he keeps doing these little things, it's all going to add up to where he won't – no team's going to let him be great. He's not going to get a shot. I don't know if it'll be in Cleveland. In my opinion, if Jerry Jones calls you guys and says, hey, I'll give you a 6th or 7th round pick for Manziel, I would send him on his way to Dallas in a heartbeat. What do you think about
that? If you asked me earlier in the season, I'd probably do that. With some of the stuff that the other players are starting to say about Johnny in the Cleveland locker room, the players are buying into Johnny, and that speaks a lot to me. Pettin's coming out and saying, that he's seeing more and more out of him in practice that he likes. He's seeing more and more out of games that he likes. The players are starting to buy into him. The locker room's not as divided as it was when we had the McCown versus Manziel, quarterback controversy. And Manziel's got a solid mentor in McCown there in Cleveland. I'd like to see him stay there. I know I've seesawed back and forth on the guy, but the way he's came out and played, he shoulders the blame and says that, the other guys played good enough to win. Let's face it, that Cleveland Browns roster is a mess. They're not just missing a quarterback. They're missing more than just a quarterback. He's played well enough to win some games that he's lost. So at the end of the day, I say go ahead and keep him if the players are buying into him.
I'm telling you right now, Paxton Lynch from Memphis has a one-way ticket to Cleveland. He's going to be a Brown, Ian. It's going to happen. He is one of those talents to me that if he's there and your team doesn't have a star quarterback, you have to take him. You have to. And another thing, you guys, is Pettin going to be there? I know they say that they're going to keep him, but with Chip Kelly getting fired, it throws a whole new wrench into the program. I think Chip Kelly goes to Tennessee. Like I've said time and time again, I said it earlier in the year on this show. I sat here and said Chip Kelly would be a great fit in Tennessee with Marcus Mariota. However, you get a quarterback like Paxton Lynch there. I think Manziel would be perfect in a Chip Kelly system. So I don't know. Chip Kelly, what do you think about that? Do you think that's a possibility?
I think it's a possibility. I don't know. I honestly don't know which direction it'll go. I don't even have an opinion on it, really. I know before Chip Kelly got fired, there was a Bleacher Report that came out that said that they were going to go ahead and stick with Pettin, but fire the general manager. And, Pettin went 7-9 last year as head coach. Yeah, this year is pretty rough, and we were decimated by injuries. But like I said, injuries or not, the roster's still a mess. But that's not Mike Pettin's fault. I do agree that Johnny may flourish in a Chip Kelly system, but does Chip Kelly want to come to Cleveland? Like you said, I think it'd be a perfect fit. I think Tennessee's crazy if they don't go after him and try and bring him back to Mariota, but only time will tell. See what the Browns do. I do want to get to Jeremy's question on my biggest surprise and letdown for the Browns as well.
I was going to get to that, but go ahead. What's your biggest surprise of the season?
I like to finish with positives, so I'm going to go letdown first. And like how I was talking about injuries, Joe Hayden was the biggest letdown this year for the Cleveland Browns. Before the season started, voted the 23rd best player in the league. He is definitely a talent. When you look at that roster, he's probably the guy that jumps off the page and, you think, okay, he's probably the best player on that team. The guy played 5 games this year, and there was some talk about, maybe it's injuries, he's sore, he's not, he's getting hurt, he's not healing. My personal opinion on Joe Hayden is I watched every Browns preseason game. He played maybe 10 snaps. I don't think Joe Hayden prepared himself for this season, and I think that's a ginormous letdown to the city of Cleveland. I think it's a slap in the face. I think that's why he got injured. I think that's why he got hurt. I think that's why he didn't play much this year. He didn't prepare himself for the season. I think he was the biggest letdown this year. On the other hand, the biggest – go ahead.
Real quick, look at that defense was pretty good last year, and Joe Hayden was a key factor of that. I mean, look at the receivers in the AFC North. A.J. Green is a 5-time Pro Bowler, and he's done very well against A.J. Green. He shut him down a few games. Look at the Ravens. Steve Smith, he's done well against Steve Smith and Steve Smith's time there. And then you look at Antonio Brown from the Steelers. He's done well against Antonio Brown. So you need that lockdown corner like that teams typically don't throw at. And Hayden is that for you guys. So that's tough to lose your number one corner. And they're down to like their 3rd or 4th string. So terrible. That's a terrible loss. I agree with you on that. So what was your biggest surprise, best surprise of the season for the Browns?
I think the biggest bright spot this year has been Gary Barnidge. Just played absolutely phenomenal for the Browns. Coming into this year, Gary Barnidge had 44 receptions in his career for 603 yards and 3 touchdowns. His career had spanned 7 seasons before he came to Cleveland this year. And in his 8th season this year with Cleveland, he's got 71 receptions, 977 yards, and 9 touchdowns. He's 1 touchdown away, if he gets it in the final week, of breaking the touchdown record for a tight end in a single season for the Browns. He'd break Ozzie Newsome's record. So Barnidge has been absolutely phenomenal for us. He's been our best target, him and Travis Benjamin. He's been reliable. He stayed healthy. And, the Browns took a chance on him signing him. And, most of the time, when you go to a team that's lowly like the Browns and you have a good season, it's just kind of like a stepping stone. Now you go into free agency and you sign elsewhere after that good season. But he said, the Browns took a chance on me. They gave me a job when no one else would. And he signed a 3-year extension with the Browns after week 13. So we're going to be seeing more of Gary Barnidge in Cleveland, and I like that as a Browns fan. He did well this season. And I hope to see more Gary Barnidge in the future.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. I've said all along to you and on the show, I think he's a great tight end, great pickup, great signing. They signed him to that 3-year deal. I think it's a great deal for the Browns, for the city of Cleveland. He's a blue collar guy, and great. He's been great for you guys. So if you guys can bulk up that line, maybe shore up the quarterback position, whoever it's going to be, just shore it up. I don't know. Just figure out. Maybe not add another name to that long list of quarterbacks. Get your wide receivers back. Building the draft, man. Just building the draft, and you guys got the best fans in the league. Like I've said, just stick with the team like you guys always do. But yeah, thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate the question, brother. So Ian, big week for yours truly, and picks last week. Do you want to recap them for us?
Will do. Week 16, Jared took the week with a 10-6 record. Chris and I both brought up the rear at 9-7, a game behind Jared. For our yearly standings, Jared and Chris both have 8 weekly wins. So this is the final week of the NFL season. Whoever wins this week is going to be the champion of Ohio Sports Radio for the Pick'em this year. In the event that Jared and Chris tie, we go to overall records. Right now, Jared owns a 2-game lead over Chris in overall records. Jared is 144 and 95, and Chris is 142 and 97. So a lot riding on this week between you two.
Yeah, awesome. So it all comes down to this. NFL Week 17 picks. Ian, are you ready?
Let's do it, brother.
All right, first game of the week. We have my Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Baltimore Ravens in Cincinnati. Chris took Cincinnati in this one. Ian, who are you taking in this game?
Bengals bounce back. They get it done to finish the season at home against the Ravens.
Yeah, I like that, Ian. I like that pick a lot. We get Tyler Eifert back this week. That's huge. They say McCarron is probable to play, which is good news for the Bengals. I did not want to see the Bengals go into Week 17 with Keith winning as their quarterback. But McCarron back, Eifert back. They do need to win this game to keep their hopes for a first-round bye in play. We do need help, like I said earlier. I've said it all week, guys. I've never picked against them one time, unlike Chris, unlike you, Ian, with your Browns. I have took my Cincinnati Bengals week in, week out. Nothing's changing this week. I don't care if they're playing the 1985 Chicago Bears. I'm taking the Bengals all day. So I like my Bengals to beat up the Ravens and Ryan Mallett in this one. Yeah, who day. That's what I'm saying in that one. So I'm taking the Bengals in this one. Next game on the card, we have the New York Jets on the road taking on Sexy Rexy and the Buffalo Bills. Chris took the Bills and Sexy Rexy in this one. Ian, who do you got in this one?
I don't think Chris ever took the Bills until you started calling him Sexy Rexy, and I think Chris likes the name. But the Jets are playing some really good football. They beat the Patriots last week in an overtime thriller that was don't know what happened with that coin flip. But moving forward, I like the Jets in this one. Todd Bowles has gotten that team to play great football. Ryan Fitzpatrick has had a phenomenal season there.
Yeah. The Jets have to win to get in the playoffs. They have a lot to play for this week. On the other side of the coin, Sexy Rexy, if he's going to beat one team, he's going to want to beat his former team, the Jets. However, I hate Rex Ryan. He's terrible. He's ran the Bills into the ground just like he did the Jets. They brought in all these players. That defense is terrible. They've been playing terrible. Tyrod Taylor's been playing well. But I like Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Jets to win this one and get into the playoffs. And odds are play the Cincinnati Bengals in the wild card round in Cincinnati. But I'm taking the Jets in this one. Next game on the card, we had the New England Patriots on the road taking on the Miami Dolphins. Chris took New England in this one. Ian, who do you have in this one, sir?
Yeah, I'm going with New England. It's tough to go against Brady 2 weeks in a row. I think they'll be back out there, and I think they'll get back to their winning ways. I'll take the Patriots on the road.
I will also take the Patriots in this one. I don't know what happened last week with that coin flip, but somehow, some way, it'll be spun that it was the most genius thing Belichick's ever done because it gave guys a rest. on offense and blah, 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 blah. Whatever. I'm taking the Patriots in this one. I don't see them losing 2 weeks in a row, and they're starting to get everyone back, which is scary. Next on the card, we have the New Orleans Saints on the road taking on their bitter rival, the Atlanta Falcons, in the Dome. Chris took Atlanta in this one. Ian, who do you have, sir?
Atlanta coming off a huge win last week, knocking off the last undefeated Carolina Panthers. I'm going to ride that streak, and I'm going to take Atlanta at home to beat the Saints.
Yeah, fun fact, on driving home from Florida, 15 hours from Daytona Beach is not fun, but whenever you get to listen to the Falcons upset the Panthers on the radio, it makes the trip a lot better. Matty Ice seemed to come through in that one, but Julio Jones put the whole city on his back that game. I think it continues. I like the Falcons in this one at home in the Dome to beat Drew Brees and the Saints. And Drew Brees is playing with a torn plantar fasciitis, so I'll take the Falcons in this one. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road taking on your Brownies. Chris took Pittsburgh in this one. Sir, who are you taking in this game?
Of course he took Pittsburgh. I'm going to take my Browns this one. So we're going to help out the entire AFC, and we're going to knock out the dirty, dirty Steelers out of the playoffs. It's going to take a lot of work. Johnny is going to be out with a concussion. Austin Davis is going to be starting. So let's get him. Let's finish this season on a high note, boys. I'm going with the Browns.
Yeah, Steelers have a lot to play for in this one. They have to win to get into the playoffs, or they need a lot of help. Everyone in the AFC does not want to see the Steelers in it, including myself. However, I think they beat your Browns this week. I'm sorry. I'm going to take the Steelers in this one, but I am rooting hardcore for the Cleveland Browns. Next on the card, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Houston Texans. Chris took Houston in this one. He went away from his Jaguars. Ian, who are you taking in this game, sir?
Houston's playing really good football right now. It seems like ever since that Monday night affair with Cincinnati, they've started to get everything to click. That defense is playing a lot better. The offense is looking a little bit better. I like them to finish out the season at home on a high note and win against the Jaguars.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Texans in this one, too. They're at home. They have DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best in the league, and they're getting Hoyer back this week, I do believe. He's past concussion protocol. Even though Whedon looked like he's going to take them to the playoffs, I'm going to take the Texans and J.J. Watt in this one. Next game, we have the Tennessee Titans on the road taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Chris took Indy in this one. E, who are you taking, sir?
This is a tough one for me because, Indy has are they mathematically eliminated yet or no?
Houston won that division, I think, or Houston in the playoffs. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That division's been so god awful. I haven't watched it.
I just know there was like 49 million different things that had to happen for the Colts to be able to make the playoffs. Tennessee, at times, they've showed that they can put together a complete game. They got a good young core. Colts really don't have a lot to play for in this game since they're not going to the playoffs. I'm just going to go ahead and go with the home team. I think it's going to be a close one, but I'll take Indy.
Yeah, I think Hasselbeck's playing this one. I don't know if he is or not. Like I said, I haven't really followed these teams that much. I think Hasselbeck's playing, and then the quarterback for the Titans is Zach Mettenberger, who has the funniest face mask in the history of face mask. If you haven't seen it, Google it. It's hilarious. It's an old linebackers from the 90s. I'm taking the Colts in this one. It's going to be ugly. Terrible game. It'll probably be on CBS for most of you, which will suck, but I'm taking the Colts in this one. Next game, we have the Washington Redskins, who clinched a playoff berth. Nothing to play for. They can't advance their position at all. I think they're resting starters this week. The Redskins on the road taking on the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry World. Chris took Dallas this week. Ian, who are you taking, sir?
Even with all the, with everybody taking a break this week for Washington, Dallas is still really, really bad. I'm gonna go ahead and take Washington, the one on the road.
Yeah, big shout out to Kirk Cousins, getting me 40 points in the fantasy football championship. Ended up winning me my league. Kirk, I love that. Thank you, sir. But however, he'll be sitting this week. So I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one. I don't know why. The Cowboys stink. Redskins will probably win, but I'm going to take the Cowboys at home. I don't know why. Next game, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, who just fired head coach Chip Kelly, and what a debacle that is in Philly right now. The Eagles on the road taking on the New York Football Giants. Chris took the Giants in this one. Ian, who do you have, sir?
This is a tough one for me. Pat Shurmur's going to be coaching the Eagles, and us Browns fans know how well of a job Pat Shurmur does at head coaching. But on paper, I think the Eagles are a little bit better, but I'm going to take the Giants simply because they're home. Another one of those toss-up games for me. I'll take the Giants this week.
Yeah, I think if Chip was there, this would be a little different story. I don't know why, but bringing in an interim head coach and last game of the year, it's just kind of a whole debacle right now with them. I have no telling what's going on with them moving forward. I'm going to take the Giants. Odell's back after his terrible actions against the Panthers, but Odell's a huge difference maker for that team, so I'm going to take the Giants in this one. Next game, we have the Detroit Lions on the road taking on the Chicago Bears. Chris took Detroit in this one. Ian, who are you taking, sir?
Another division matchup to close out the season. Jay Cutler's been able to put some games together here later on in the season. They like to play spoiler. Obviously, they won't be playing spoiler this week since the Lions don't have anything to play for. But I like the Bears at home this week. I think Cutler gets it done.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. Lions are playing all right. Jim Bob Cooter's been kind of a blessing in disguise for the Lions. However, I'm going to take the Bears at home. I don't know. I should probably pick for pick, strategically with Chris. However, I'm going to win honorably. I'm going to take the Bears in this one. Next game on the card, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road taking on the Panthers, the one-loss Carolina Panthers. Chris took Carolina in this one. Who are you taking, sir?
Carolina, if they had a little bit more room to kind of relax, I think they would rest everybody, and I think Tampa Bay would be able to catch them. Arizona is nipping at the Panthers' heels right now for that 1 seed after the Panthers lost. I don't think there's any way the Panthers lose 2 in a row. I think Cam gets it done this week and the Panthers roll.
Yeah, I agree with you. They got a lot to play for. They need that 1 seed. You want home field throughout the playoffs. It's huge. I do like Jameis Winston. I've said this all year. He's a poor man's Cam Newton, so it's going to be fun to see these two play each other. Jameis is progressing pretty well. I do like him. However, I'm taking the Panthers in this one. I think that loss is a blessing in disguise for the Panthers. You don't want to carry an undefeated season into the playoffs. It's just so much pressure. I think that loss works well for them. I think they get Jonathan Stewart back this week too, which will be big. So I'm going to take the Panthers at home in this one. Next game, we have the Oakland Raiders on the road taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. This game has huge implications for Bengals fans, so listen close. Ian, who are you taking in this one? Chris took the Chiefs, by the way.
I'm going to go ahead and take the Chiefs. They've reeled off 9 wins in a row. They are probably the hottest team in the NFL right now as far as winning goes. Like you said, they've got a lot on the line. As far as seeding goes, nothing's guaranteed in the AFC right now. So I think the Chiefs get it done at home. I think Oakland could pose a threat, but I like Kansas City at Arrowhead this week.
Yeah, this game's big for the Bengals. Obviously, like I said, we need Denver to lose, and we either need to win or we need a Kansas City win to get a first-round bye. So Bengals fans will definitely be rooting for the Chiefs this week. Bengals fan, obviously, I'm going to root for the Chiefs myself. So I will take the Chiefs this week along with you guys. They're the hottest team in the NFL. So I'm taking the Chiefs in this one. Next game, the biggest game of the week for Bengals fans, the San Diego Chargers on the road taking on the Denver Broncos. Chris took Denver. Ian, who are you taking, sir?
I'm going to go ahead and stick with my Denver pick from last week. I'm going to take them. I know San Diego probably possibly the last game they have with that name on their jersey, but I'm going to go with Denver to keep it rolling. Tough defense. They're going to be getting to Rivers all day, so I'll go with Denver.
Okay, strategically, I got to take Denver here. However, I think the Chargers pull the upset, but I'm taking Denver just strategically, okay? I'm taking the Broncos in this one. I'm rooting for the Chargers. I will buy – somebody give me a baby blue jersey, and I will wear the hell out of it during that game. I'm rooting for the Chargers hardcore in this one. Phillip Rivers, I hate your bolo tie self, but get us a win, sir, please. Last game, possibly as the San Diego Chargers, could be moving to L.A., so they got a lot of pride to play for in this one. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm pulling for the Chargers, but in this, I'm picking the Broncos. Next game, we had the Seattle Seahawks on the road taking on your Arizona Cardinals. Chris took Arizona. Who are you taking in this one, sir?
Arizona's playing the best football in the NFC, hands down. Carson Palmer has found the fountain of youth, and they're just doing great. I'm taking the Cardinals.
Yeah, this is a tough game. I think the Cardinals are the best team in the NFL. Carson Palmer looks fantastic. Cam Newton's bad game last week kind of threw a wrench into the MVP race. I think Palmer's gained a lot of ground. That offense is so good. Defense is great. Big loss losing Tyrann Mathieu, though. That's a huge loss for them. But I'm going to take the Cardinals at home in this one, and they could possibly lock up a number 1 overall seed if Carolina loses. So they got a lot to play for. Taking the Cardinals in this one. Next game, we have the St. Louis Rams on the road taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Chris took St. Louis. Ian, who are you taking in this one?
I'm taking St. Louis in this one too. San Francisco is just awful. So I'm going with the Rams on the road.
Yep, I agree with you guys. I'm taking the Rams. Tom Sewell is not a good coach. I've said it all year. The Niners are in shambles. I'm going to take the Rams in this one. Last game of the week, we have the Minnesota Vikings on the road taking on the Green Bay Packers. Division implications on the line. Chris took Green Bay. Ian, who are you taking in this one?
Man, I think this is going to be a good one. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, they started out like a streak of fire, and things just started falling apart. Rodgers has no protection with that offensive line. He doesn't have any time to throw the ball. Minnesota has been playing great this season. Mike Zimmer has built a terrific contender out of them. It's nice to see some competition in that division. I want to go Minnesota, but it's a Sunday night game. It's at Lambeau. I got to go Packers.
Oh, man, this was such a tough game. This is the hardest game on the card for me. I love Zim. And I'm glad the Vikings are in. Like I've said, I've kind of adopted them as my NFC team. However, I agree with you guys. I'm taking the Packers in Lambeau. Wouldn't be surprised at all if Minnesota wins this game. But at home, prime time, I like Rodgers, the best in the league. So I'm going to take the Packers in this one. So those are our NFL picks of the week. Hopefully they help you guys out. Hopefully I can pull out a win and not have to wear a Cleveland Browns jersey. That would be really great. But yeah, as always, we end the show with a bold prediction for this upcoming week. Don't have Chris's, obviously, but Ian, sir, what is your bold prediction for this upcoming week?
My bold prediction for this upcoming week is by the time we come back to do next week's show, the college football national championship will be set, and it'll be the Oklahoma Sooners versus the Alabama Crimson Tide.
That is a very bold prediction, sir. I like Michigan State personally. I'm going to take Michigan State, and I'm going to take Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's going to win it all this year. They got a great team. However, my bold prediction, like I said a few minutes ago, the San Diego Chargers upset the Denver Broncos this week. The Cincinnati Bengals will be the 2 seed in the AFC, get a first-round bye. Bengals fans, I hope this works. Bold prediction. Chargers got a lot to play for. So if we are all Phillip Rivers and Chargers fans this week, Bengals fans, that is my bold prediction, sir. Ian, it's been a great 2015. Ohio Sports Radio has done very well. We're happy. We're happy with the show, the website. Thank you to everyone who has made Ohio Sports Radio what it is. Thank you for your help, your support. Check out our website, ohsportsradio.com. Always posting new stuff on there. Follow us on Twitter at Ohio Sports Radio. Like our Facebook page, Ohio Sports Radio. Comment, interact with us, guys. We appreciate every one of you who reads our stories, who sends us questions. You guys are all fantastic. Ian, thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for a great year, sir. You have anything else to say?
No, just this, when Jared brought this idea to me to try and build something from it, we were just a couple guys that talked about sports on Facebook and had a lot of interactions with our friends. And when Jared brought this to me, I loved this idea, and I'm glad that we've been able to do this and keep this up. 2016, I think, is going to be a big year for Ohio Sports Radio. We've got a lot coming up, with the NFL playoffs. The Bengals are up there. We've got the college football playoffs winding down, and we're in the hot stove with Reds and with Major League Baseball, and college basketball is in such a good place in the state of Ohio. So looking forward to a huge 2016 for the state of Ohio and Ohio Sports Radio. Thanks a lot for bringing me along on the ride, brother.
Yeah, no problem, man. I appreciate your hard work, and Chris, for that matter. Chris, I know you're probably going to watch this tomorrow. Thank you, sir. We appreciate all the hard work. Couldn't have done it without you guys. It's been fun. We love doing this, and hopefully 2016 is just as great of a year for us. Thank you to all of our listeners. Like I said, you guys are the best. All the people who ask us questions, everyone who reads our stuff, you guys are awesome. We couldn't do that without you, our friends and family. We appreciate it. Like I said, follow us on Twitter at Ohio Sports Radio. Like our Facebook page, Ohio Sports Radio. Comment, interact with us. Check out our website, ohsportsradio.com, which we're always updating with new stuff. And Happy New Year to all of you guys. May all of you guys have a fantastic 2016. And Ian, who day, Ian? Who day?
We bark together.
Thank you guys for such a great year. We'll see you in 2016.